Right, so we're going to do a quick recap on the market and look at everything that's developed from the weekly watch list. We had quite a few pairs that we're looking at. You can see them all in red here on the right hand side on our watch list. So we're going to work from the very top, starting with Aussie US dollar, and we'll work our way down, finish for Forex on US dollar Swiss, and then we will end it with covering LTC USD. So let's go to Aussie US dollar to start, and as always we'll go out to the weekly. Okay, so you can sort of get a good understanding of what we're looking at. Now this area in green is of course an area that we see could potentially be a problem if we were to get price action moving up into a zone like this. Price action has landed in this zone. You can see that we are getting that rejection back down, and it's looking like it's going to come back down below this bearish trend line. But I am anticipating, just looking at the structure and how things are shaping up, I am anticipating that we might actually get a breakthrough here. If we just quickly look at the dollar index, so if the dollar index was to be weak, this would give us another confidence that we are going to get that breakthrough. Now you did see we did have that sharp decline, but we're printing a really strong, what could be almost a hammer candle if we didn't have this wick to the upside here. But if we go down to the lower time frames, it's going to be able to get a better perspective of what's going on. So you can see we are pushing down lower. We've broken these lows, so this is new bearish structure. We're now coming back up. Okay, so we're now coming back up into this little area of resistance. You can see we'll just draw it out. So this little area in green here, we're coming back, and I do think this could be new bearish structure, and we start to retest these lows here that you can see around about that 93700 mark. So we have a nice double bottom in an area of support. So this is the next possible level that I do think price action will go back down into, and then we can see what happens from there on out. But right now, currently what's happening is we are seeing that rejection. We've seen a nice, could be a double top around about that 94,400 mark, 94,500. So an inverted double top. We're pushing back down in this area of support that you can see in red, around about that 93700 mark, and we are looking to see if we could actually break below. Now if this does break below, this is obviously going to coincide with our Aussie US dollar pair. You can see here we are trying to break through, but this could potentially just be another lower high. So a lower high, and then we come back down into that 0.71500 handle to see if we could break that support. But me personally, I do think that we are going to get that break to the upside, and that's what I'd be waiting on. I'd be waiting on that break to the upside. It'll have to be a significant break. I don't want to see a couple of candles and then retest back down here. I want to see at least 1, 2, 3, 4, then come back down, rounding off, give us a nice rejection here around about this area. And then of course an entry signal. If we get that entry signal, then we could then look to take back up to, well of course we will have to get past highs around 0.75900, and then of course we can look to take things back up to an area like so. But for me personally, the first area and the first target I think price action could go is where this little mini bearish trend started. If we do get that push pullback, and then of course a nice strong bullish move up. But this is what I'm thinking, this is currently what I'm looking at. So that's what I'm thinking for Aussie US dollar. We have progressed a little bit, but right now we're at that pivotal point. But right now we're at that pivotal point. But right now we're at that pivotal point, where price action could start to break through and give us that option of going up higher. So let's move on to Euro Aussie. Now Euro Aussie was an interesting one. I was thinking that we're going to get a pullback here, find some support, get a pullback into an area in orange here, and then get a continued leg down. But that's not been the case so far. So let's go to the weekly to see what we're seeing. We've had quite a big sell-off. We've really came out of this bearish trend, but of course for me now, I do think price action is going to come down to that 1.54300 handle, and the second blue line here that you see at the bottom of the screen. I think we're going to get that push. We might even get a pull back into this area now. I thought we were going to have a retracement all the way back up into this area of resistance, or potential resistance. So that's obviously not happening yet. Let's go to the 4 hour, and you see here price action really slowing down in and around this area. So we could get that push up, we could get an inverted double bottom here and that push up, and then we're just going to really have to see where it wants to go. But right now firmly bearish, and I do think we are going to hit 1.54300 where this price actions congregated before at the start of the year. So that's what I'm looking at for Euro Aussie. Again, a little bit more development. We missed this initial trade. It just kept going and going and going. We were waiting for that pullback. We maybe could have got one here on the daily if we just highlight that right now to see what it looks like on the 4 hour, maybe even the 1 hour. So we maybe could have got an entry in here, but that's just something that we've missed. We could have got that nice inverted double top, rolled over and then just tanked. So that would have been an incredibly nice trade, but of course we're not in that right now, so we are going to look to get other options as price action progresses. So let's go to Euro USD now. See price action getting squeezed. I'm really liking the look of this. We did cover this at the start of the week and we did say that we were going to come back down to that 1.15000 handle. I do still think this is the case. We've tried to push up from the bottom of this and we're getting rejected. It looks like we're going to form a shooting star to close, which of course is a bearish signal, and I think that we're going to come back down, congregate here for a little bit, and then that's when you're going to see a real attractive opportunity for buyers to step in the market. So Euro USD, that's what I'm looking at for Euro USD currently. Probably one of my more favourite setups right now. Just needs a little bit more development. So Euro JPY, again, this is absolutely tanked. We did anticipate this was going to move up higher just with this double bottom. Then you see the higher high, higher low, come back down to retest. See that wick at the bottom here. We've took all that liquidity here and then we've just shot up. It's very obvious where we're going to be headed next. We'll be headed here, and then who knows, we may actually go all the way back up to here. So I mean, right now looking at it, it's very obvious to me we may actually get a pullback and maybe rest on a small area of support here before we get any further move up. So something like this, and I do think we come back into a zone like this and then move back towards these highs. But I don't even know. I mean, right now it's looking incredibly strong. It might just go all the way up to the 132,500 handle. Who knows? But if I was to get involved with this now, of course I would need a pullback because it's just taken off and left without me. So Euro JPY, that's what we're looking at. I might get a little pullback and then a continuation back up to these highs. We could go down to the 4 hour and the 1 hour for that to get a better entry and a better risk to reward. So GBP USD. Really nice. We're coming back into that. We could probably extend this zone because it makes sense that we touch the bottom of these highs here and the bottom of these lows, sorry. So if we move this up ever so slightly just here, because that's covering the true range now, you can see we've got these bottom parts touched, and now it looks like we're going to close for the day inside this zone. And that is, of course, more bearish structure. We've created new lows and coming back up, failing to break this high in and around an extremely strong area of resistance will give us a good probability that we're going to come back down lower. I did anticipate that we're going to come just below that 1.32 handle, maybe 1.31500. So that's currently what I'm looking at right now for GBP USD. But of course, I'm going to be looking at the dollar index, and if the dollar index is weak, of course it's going to push GBP USD up. If the dollar is strong, it's going to push GBP USD down. So we've got Euro USD that's looking good to go up, and we've got GBP USD that's looking good to go down. So what we do in this scenario is we really analyse the dollar index and make sure that it's congruent with our setups. If the dollar is strong, then of course that we're going to go with the GBP USD sell position. If the dollar's weak, then we're going to go with the Euro USD buy position. But again, we have to factor in how the Euro's doing and Euro USD, and we have to factor in how the pound's doing and GBP USD. We can't just be making decisions. It's just an added confluence to the situation. So GBP, JPY, again, we did anticipate the breakout of this little flag. I mean, we were just struggling so hard around about that 149 handle, and now that we are hitting against that area of support continually, what one telltale sign that this wasn't going to crash through the floor was just how many candles it spent away, especially on the daily. If you look at this, and if we go down to the 4 hour and the 1 hour even more so, how many candles actually spread out from each bottom is crazy. So you can see here we have this low, all of these candles before we come back down and print the same low round about that area, that 149, 270, 149, 300 handle, and then we come back down again, showing a lot of candles before we come back down, push, and then now we're all the way back up, and we're hitting that 155.500 handle. So now that we've hit that 155.500 handle, where do we go next? So if we go to the daily time frame, you can see we are hitting that nice area of resistance. I do think we're going to get a pullback. We might actually come back down in line with, let's just start making this different colours. There we go. So we might actually start coming back down in line with this trend line here. So I'm thinking that we're going to come back down. I mean, say if we even were just to take a Fibonacci retracement, so if we took from the bottom of these lows here to the tops of these highs, so we take that, we can see that price action is going to be coming back down into this area, and where it matches up with the Fibonacci retracement, you can see it's round about that 0.5, alright, so 0.5, 0.618, 0.786, they're all really good Fibonacci retracements because it's shown a good respect. Sometimes if it comes to the 0.382, it could show a sign of strength, which is great, but it's also just, in my opinion, not a deep enough retracement to be getting a good risk to reward. But again, it just depends on the level of education that you have and how confident you are in the market if you're able to pull those types of trades off. But typically, if you're a safer trader and you want a little bit more of conviction in your entries, waiting for a pullback around about that 0.5, 0.618 Fibonacci is typically a good risk to reward, and it's a little bit safer because it shows that price action's exhausted a little bit more than just a retracement to the 0.382. Sometimes it goes to 0.786, it shows that the buyers aren't really that much in control, and we could just, for example, come back down to say 0.786 retracement. So if we took this here, so if I was to take something like this, it comes all the way up, all the way back down to 786. We've then, forget that we've broken out this, but we've then could come back up, create a new lower low, lower high, and then just completely roll over. There's more chance doing that than if it was to hit the 0.5 or the 0.6. So there's just a couple of little things to look out for when you're using these types of things. Again, it's just an added confidence. You can't just be thrown on Fibonacci's and then saying, oh, it's hit the 0.5 perfectly well, I'm going to initiate a trade. It doesn't quite work like that. But it does help a lot if you're able to stack this as a third or fourth confluence, or maybe even just a second, depending on the weight of the first confluence. Sometimes, you know, if you get a double bottom on the daily, that's got a lot more weight than as if you were to see like an inverse head and shoulders on the 15-minute. And again, it does depend on where the price action is in the chart, if it's at the top, if it's at the bottom, if it's in the middle, and then just the general mood of that market and the general mood of the economy that market or asset's in. So there's a lot of different factors that are at play here when you are making these decisions. But me personally, I think 𝗙PH is going to have a good retracement back into that 0.5. We're going to hide some of this now because it's looking a little bit messy. Back into that 0.5, into this zone here that you see in green, and then we can look to reassess from there. But so far everything played out. We haven't actually managed to get in any of these trades, unfortunately. They have really just exploded, but it does give us an opportunity, based on our analysis going the way that we wanted it to then assess where it's going to come back down into, so we could then take the second leg up. So NZD USD, again, a little bit like Euro USD. If I was to say between these two, I mean, they're both really good setups, to be honest with you. I would try my best to pick a favourite, or maybe even just split your risk. If you risk 1%, you could do 0.5 and 0.5, but ideally, I mean, you want to just be sticking to putting 1% or 2% or 3%, whatever you risk, into a specific trade and one specific setup, because typically they're going to move the same way. And if you're in two different trades at half the risk that you normally do, it's a lot more management, and one could go one way and one could go the other way, and it's a more chance of things going wrong. So typically I would just stick to one setup. But if I was to choose between Euro USD and NZD USD, I would have to look at, of course, the fundamentals. But just from a technical standpoint, I'm thinking Euro USD is looking a little bit better, in my honest opinion. So USD CAD. Again, I'm liking a look at this. We're obviously moving bearish. We've broke out of a bullish trend line. We've had 3 really significant drives. Very, very strong bearish signs. We're actually crashing through this area of support now, and I do think that we could get that pullback back down into the bottom of these lows here, around about that 1.2 handle. So that could be a potential really nice sell setup. So for me personally, GBP, USD, Euro USD are all looking very good, and USD CAD, I'm liking looking at USD CAD, and honestly, this, as simple as it sounds, I'd just be looking for this. That's all I'm looking for. If it does come back, because obviously this is a nice area. You can see we've had multiple times where the market has respected it. Now we're coming back into an area that could potentially act as resistance and then drive price action down. So again, really good. I'm excited for the development of that, and then hopefully we could get in. So USD JPY moving completely different. The yen must be a little bit weak right now, and you can see that we have crashed through this area of support. We did predict this in our weekly watch list. We just didn't predict it to go this well. So now we are hitting, we just crashed right through that. Let's go to the weekly and we'll see what's actually happening. So really what I'm looking for is, I know price action is going to come back down. Obviously, I'll rephrase it, I don't know, but I'm almost certain the price action is going to come back down into this area of support that you see here in green, and then I do think it's going to be an attractive time for buyers to pick up more steam, because it is a significant break, and then of course it has to be respected. We need to see, you know, multiple candles outside of the break come back down, show respect in the retest, finding some support, and then pushing price action up higher. Last but not least, let's go to USD Swiss. Again, this is what we had anticipated. We anticipated, you can see here from the weekly watch list, we had anticipated a break, a retest, and then a push back down to the bottom of this trend line basically. But we didn't actually get that retest. We just had a push, pullback. If we see, if we took this as the push phase for this high here to this low here, we could sort of get a rough idea how much it retraced by. It retraced 0.382, so it's hit off that perfectly, and we might actually roll over, or we could, you know, create a little higher high, higher low, and then retest back into an area around about that 0.618, where you see all of this area of support that got respected well, broke it. Now we'll come back in maybe to retest as resistance, and then we'll look to take that push back down to the outer trend line that you can see here on the monthly time frame. Well, let's just do the weekly. Now you can see here on the weekly where we're marrying up these lows here, these ones, and then of course we have this. So that's currently what we're just trying to fan out and make sure that we have every obstacle in a road mapped out. So if we do plan to take a sell position, and it is against the grain, that we know when this might actually turn on us, so we can set appropriate take profits, and of course appropriate stop losses, and manage our portfolio correctly so we're maximising our profit. And then last but not least, we'll go on LTC USD, and we're sort of just consolidated in that zone. We're currently still in this right now. Came back, retested, we've got a little double bottom, and now we're pushing back up to that 182 handle to try and see if we could break through that area of resistance. And then of course if we do that, I do think we are going to hit this area in red here, round about, I would say around about a 193 handle, and then look to go beyond to 225, 230 potentially. I mean, it has been consolidating for a little while now. We've been consolidating in this zone that you see at the bottom in the green and the top in the blue. We broke below that. We thought we were going to crash back down to this area in red, but we've managed to somehow come back into this area of consolidation, and now we're creating a really strong rejection candle. It might actually be a gravestone doji, where price action has been rejected majorly by the sellers, and then we could actually look to come back down. But again, we're just going to be monitoring price action. LTC USD, I still firmly believe that we are positive. I still firmly believe that we're bullish, and I'm still liking the look of some of the setups that are forming. So that's been the market recap for this week. Not much to go through, but again, more than enough for everybody to be analysing, especially if you're just starting. Like, comment and subscribe on these videos and to this channel so you can get these videos before anybody else. Instant notifications as soon as they come out by the second. And of course, we're always on hand to answer any of your questions and go over any of your analysis if you're ever stuck. So please don't hesitate. We look forward to seeing you probably tomorrow. We're going to do another live video on YouTube. So if you want to go in, that'll be around about 7:30 GMT time. So we're going to be looking through and see if we can find any setups intraday. And then until then, we're probably going to wrap it up for the week, analyse all the trades that we've done, and we'll do another market recap round about Sunday and plan everything that we're going to be doing in the weekly watch list. So until then, we hope everybody has a great rest of the week. Make sure it's a profitable one and make sure that you are picking the right setups. So until then, we'll speak to you in a bit.